obnoxious weasel. You're a totally gross, obnoxious weasel. Freaky nerd. You're a totally freaky, obnoxious nerd. Ugly bonehead. You're a totally ugly, obnoxious bonehead. Slimy loser. You're a totally slimy, obnoxious loser. Weird geek. You're a totally weird, obnoxious geek. Slobbering dweeb. You're a totally slobbering, obnoxious dweeb. Stinky whip. You're a totally stinky, obnoxious whip. You're a completely gross, greasy weasel. You're a completely gross, greasy weasel. Freaky nerd. You're a completely freaky, greasy nerd. Ugly bonehead. You're a completely ugly, greasy bonehead. Slimy loser. You're a completely slimy, greasy loser. Weird geek. You're a completely weird, greasy geek. Slobbering dweeb. You're a completely slobbering, greasy dweeb. Stinky whip. You're a completely stinky, greasy whip. You're the ultimate gross, sneaky weasel. You're the ultimate gross, sneaky weasel. Freaky nerd. You're the ultimate freaky, sneaky nerd. Ugly bonehead. You're the ultimate ugly, sneaky bonehead. Slimy loser. You're the ultimate slimy, sneaky loser. Weird geek. You're the ultimate weird, sneaky geek. Slobbering dweeb. You're the ultimate slobbering, sneaky dweeb. Stinky whip. You're the ultimate stinky, sneaky whip. You're a real, gross, wacky weasel. You're a real, gross, wacky weasel. Freaky nerd. You're a real, freaky, wacky nerd. Ugly bonehead. You're a real, ugly, wacky bonehead. Slimy loser. You're a real, slimy, wacky loser. Weird geek. You're a real, weird, wacky geek. Slobbering dweeb. You're a real, slobbering, wacky dweeb. Stinky whip. You're a real, stinky, wacky whip. You're a big, gross, creepy weasel. You're a big, gross, creepy weasel. Freaky nerd. You're a big, freaky, creepy nerd. Ugly bonehead. You're a big, ugly, creepy bonehead. Slimy loser. You're a big, slimy, creepy loser. Weird geek. You're a big, weird, creepy geek. Slobbering dweeb. You're a big, slobbering, creepy dweeb. Stinky whip. You're a big, stinky, creepy whip. You're a super gross, wormy weasel. You're a super gross, wormy weasel. Freaky nerd. You're a super freaky, wormy nerd. Ugly bonehead. You're a super ugly, wormy bonehead. Slimy loser. You're a super slimy, wormy loser. Weird geek. You're a super weird, wormy geek. Slobbering dweeb. You're a super slobbering, wormy dweeb. Stinky whip. You're a super stinky, wormy whip. You're a gigantic, gross, boring weasel. You're a gigantic, gross, boring weasel. Freaky nerd. You're a gigantic, freaky, boring nerd. Ugly bonehead. You're a gigantic, ugly, boring bonehead. Slimy loser. You're a gigantic, slimy, boring loser. Weird geek. You're a gigantic, weird, boring geek. Slobbering dweeb. You're a gigantic, slobbering, boring dweeb. Stinky whip. You're a gigantic, stinky, boring whip.